At the start of 2008, Lindsay Bezique, a successful Canadian real estate agent, received a mysterious call from a woman who told her that she and her husband were looking urgently for a home to buy. Lindsay was apprehensive but found a suitable property and made an appointment with the client to view it at 5:30 p.m. on Saturday, February the 2nd, 2008. Little did she know that she had just decided the time and place of her own murder. I'm Enigma, and this is the case of the mysterious murder of Lindsay Bezique. 24-year-old Lindsay Bezique had a very promising start to life. She was a successful Canadian real estate agent and was described by the people who knew her as being a very popular and very caring person. She had a boyfriend called Jason Zalio, who was part of a prominent and wealthy family that owned a successful real estate business. In January of 2008, Lindsay received a mysterious call from an unknown woman who told her that she and her husband were looking urgently for a home to buy, with a budget of over $1 million. According to Lindsay, the caller had an unknown foreign accent, with her saying that it sounded like, quote, a bit Spanish but not really, unquote. Lindsay speculated that the caller could have been faking an accent in order to not reveal her identity. Lindsay was naturally quite concerned to the mysterious nature of the call and asked how the caller had gotten her personal phone number, as she was a relatively new employee of the firm where she worked, and her number wasn't well known at all. The caller then said that a previous client of Lindsay's had passed it on to her, but refused to say who. After the phone call, she called her previous clients asking if they'd given out her phone number. No one said they had. Lindsay was incredibly unnerved by the call and was reluctant to book a viewing, telling her boyfriend and father how strange the call was. However, her boyfriend, Jason, encouraged her to go further with the client, as the money she would have made from the commission of such an expensive house would be enormous. Jason finally convinced Lindsay to take on the client when he offered to go with her and wait outside the property, should anything go wrong. Encouraged by the protection of her husband, she decided to book a viewing and search for a suitable property, and then made an appointment. This appointment would take place at 5:30 p.m. on Saturday, February the 2nd. The street which Lindsay chose for the viewing, D'Souza Place, is a small cul-de-sac containing 4 houses. The side of the property and the fence to the back garden run parallel to Torquay Drive. She had just booked the time and place of her own murder. At 4:24 p.m, Lindsay and her boyfriend finished a lunch they were having at a local restaurant, which would turn out to be her very last meal. She then went home to change her clothes into something more formal for the viewing, while Jason simultaneously went to a local auto shop, with CCTV footage providing an alibi. Jason would be late, and text messages proves that Lindsay knew of this. Despite the woman on the phone telling Lindsay that she would come alone, 2 people turned up for the viewing. At 5:30, 2 witnesses saw a 6-foot-tall Caucasian man with dark hair, paired with a blonde-haired woman aged between 35 and 45, wearing a distinctively patterned dress whilst walking up the cul-de-sac near the house where the viewing was to take place. The witnesses then saw Lindsay shake hands with the couple, and then the 3 of them entered the property. Jason and a work colleague arrived at the house at 5:40, 10 minutes later than planned. And as they drove past the house to park up, Jason saw a dark figure standing behind the front door, behind the frosted glass, perhaps watching the street. However, he couldn't make out a distinct picture of the person. Jason parked outside of the house for 10 minutes, and after seeing nothing, decided to park on Torquay Drive, the road behind the garden of the house. Once he had parked, he messaged Lindsay to see how she was, but there was no reply. The message was never read. After another 20 minutes, Jason walked to the house and tried to open the front door, which had been locked from the inside. Through the glass, he could see Lindsay's shoes in the entrance hall, but there was no sign of movement. He knocked the door numerous times, but there was no response. Fearing for his girlfriend, he called the police while his colleague was trying to get in from the other side of the house. Fortunately, they found a gap in the fence in the back garden and entered and saw that the patio door was wide open. They then called Jason over, who told the police that he was going to enter the property. Jason then hung up. Jason's colleague came through the main level of the home to unlock the front door to let him in. He then immediately ran upstairs and saw a horrible sight. Lindsay was laying face down in a large pool of blood, with numerous stab wounds to her back. Nothing was stolen, and she hadn't been sexually assaulted.
Which side of the door was going on when the door opened for you?
Right where the door.
So I'll do that. I'm just so I know where we're going. So he opens it like this. Does he open it all the way, or you just?
He unlocked the door.
Okay, he unlocks it. Yeah. So I unlock it. Okay, it's unlocked.
I just opened it.
Okay,
So I don't know if his hand. I know that because I heard it unlock. And
Okay.
The second he unlocked it, I pushed it open.
Okay.
He was already in front of me,
Yeah.
and I said, "I'm running upstairs."
Okay.
And I was yelling. I'm like, "Lindsay, Lindsay, Lindsay."
And where did Cohen go?
He went straight ahead.
He went straight ahead?
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
So just hang on a sec there.
yeah.
So he went straight ahead,
Yeah.
and you went running upstairs?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me go upstairs first, and then you can talk your way, go up the stairs, and then we'll go to the end, all right?
Mm-hmm.
You doing okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So I was running inside the house. I just came running up the stairs.
Do you remember grabbing the banister at all, or?
Down there.
Okay. What else were you doing? Did you see anything? Did you hear anything? Did you smell anything? Kind of put yourself back there into that exact moment.
The time I got from the door to upstairs was probably 2 seconds.
Okay, so you're.
Like I was running up the stairs.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I didn't walk. The second I opened the door, I yelled, "Lindsay, Lindsay," and then I ran up these stairs as fast as I could.
Okay.
So I ran.
Police have said that they believe Bazik was attacked between 5:38 p.m. and 5:41 p.m. when her BlackBerry apparently made an accidental call. The time of death was put at exactly 5:40, the exact minute that Jason had arrived at the scene. Jason and his colleague were soon taken into custody, however were released without charge after the CCTV was recovered from the auto shop, giving them an alibi. Jason has been interviewed several times after the murder and has always cooperated with the police. The police believe that this murder was a professional hit job by a well-organised group of criminals who had killed before and will kill again. This is due to the total lack of DNA evidence at the crime scene from the man and woman who were last seen with Lindsay before her murder. The police believe that the killers were leaving through the front door when Jason arrived at the property, who upon seeing Jason fled through the back door, leaving the back patio door wide open and passing through the fence and back to a vehicle which was parked on Torquay Drive. This is backed up by the fact that witnesses saw the unknown couple walking up to the property as opposed to driving, and that all the vehicles parked outside the house were accounted for by the police. The phone used by the mysterious woman to call Lindsay was purchased several months before the murder and had never been used until the call to Lindsay, thus supporting the theory that this was a well-planned and well-organised crime. The phone was activated under the name of Paulo Rodriguez, which authorities believe to be a fake name, used to hide the real identity of the killers. The phone was deactivated soon after the murder and has never been used since. Cell phone towers tracked the phone and found that it travelled on a ferry from Vancouver a day before the murder, and was discarded soon after the murder, which suggests that this murder was heavily planned, and that the killers travelled a great distance to commit the murder. Only a professional killer would have had a disposable phone months before the murder that sole purpose was used to call a single person and was soon discarded. These all support the theory that this was done by a professional. However, the theory falls short as it doesn't provide a motive for the killing, only an explanation as to how it was enacted, which takes us to theory 2. Eight weeks before the murder took place, Lindsay tried to contact an acquaintance while on a visit. On January the 22nd, 2008, a few weeks before the murder, the largest drug bust in Alberta's history took place, and the acquaintance that Lindsay was in communications with was arrested as being a major participant in the illegal drug trafficking operation. It is believed that Lindsay's murder could have been ordered by a drug cartel because she was believed by them to be a police informant. The detectives investigated the possibility, however quickly ruled it out as a motive because she was not a police informant. They also believed that the crime had a personal nature to it and did not fit a hired killer's method of operation. However, this contradicts entirely with the police's original theory, which believes that this murder was a professional hit job. Also, even though Lindsay may not have been a police informant, she may have been perceived to be a police informant by the cartel, as she was in discussions with a senior member of the drug trafficking group. However, crime scene investigators and veteran homicide detectives agree that Lindsay's murder was not a contracted murder related to a drug cartel, as it was allegedly too brutal and too amateurish. Both seasoned investigators stated that they do believe that Lindsay's murder was very personal and planned by someone very close to her, someone who had access to insider information from the office where she worked. However, this doesn't explain why the phone was purchased months before the murder and was only activated to specifically call Lindsay. How can this murder be amateur when we take into account the extensive planning and also the total lack of DNA evidence being left at the scene? The final theory is that someone very close to Lindsay planned and carried out the murder. This is backed up by the fact that the killer had a Spanish-sounding accent that Lindsay believed to be faked. Pair this with the fictional Latin-sounded name registered to the phone that was used to make the call, it suggests that the killer was trying desperately to hide their identity. This likely means that the caller was actually Caucasian and was known to Lindsay. Pair this also with the fact that the caller knew Lindsay's personal number, despite her not giving it out to anyone but a handful of clients, all of which denied giving her number out. Tells us that it was someone who knew her well. Another thing that suggests that this murder was committed by someone close to her is the fact that the caller seemed to know that Lindsay was concerned about the meeting, despite not mentioning it to the caller. The caller tried to ease Lindsay's fears by offering to meet up with her alone, without her husband, something which was backtracked on the day of the murder. This is what I believe to be a ploy to make Lindsay feel more secure in agreeing to meet up. Someone must have tipped the killer off with Lindsay's concerns, and the only people to know those concerns were her father and her boyfriend. Jason is a key suspect in this murder. This is due to a number of factors. Firstly, his version of events are in contradiction. Jason told Dateline that he parked outside and saw two silhouettes through the glass of the front door, but didn't, contrary to concrete statements, see them come out of the house and turn around and go back in. Furthermore, the family of Jason were connected to the murder site. D'Souza Court, the street of the murder, is named after Jason's family's business associate. Part of the cul-de-sac was still under construction at the time of the murder, and D'Souza himself, the business partner, was mere meters away from the house only an hour before the murder. Pair this with the oddly specific requests of the client to find a property that was newly built, had no furniture, and was within the $1 million price range, and it appears that the killers wanted Lindsay to choose this property. It's not known if Jason suggested the property, but with Lindsay's close links to it, it isn't unfeasible to think that she was aware of this property and that Jason knew that she would choose it. It's important to note that Lindsay's father said during an interview that real estate agencies in this area have many things to cover and compares some of them to businesses like the mafia. Could Lindsay have been coaxed into choosing an isolated property with close ties to Jason's family, allowing them to make sure that nothing went wrong with the murder? Or could Lindsay have been killed by a cartel who mistakenly took her for a police informant, responsible for one of the largest drug busts in the area's history? I guess the murder of Lindsay Bezique will forever remain an enigma.